Hi, I'm Laura with Purely Good Cooking. Thanks for being with me today. I'm going to be talking about bacon-topped clams Italiano a la pop. This is one of my father's favorite clam recipes. It is something that he and my brother have been making for many, many years. So let's get started. We're going to talk about the ingredients. First, I just want to introduce what we're going to be serving here. I have 12 or a dozen Little Neck clams, fresh from the seafood counter. They are going to be steamed so that they open, and then we're going to be baking them once we top them with 1 cup of Italian Flavored Bread Crumbs, about 1/4 cup of olive oil. Of course, I always like to put a little bit of butter in anything I make, so grass-fed cow butter is obviously ideal. Some freshly shredded Parmesan cheese. This is cellulose-free shredded Parmesan cheese. I like to use this if I'm not able to shred it myself. So that's what we're going to be using today. Some bacon, of course. It's all about the clams and the bacon in this recipe. And the bacon that I prefer to go with, obviously, is nitrite and nitrate free. This is uncured hardwood smoked bacon. Super fresh, not preserved, and it has no nitrates and no nitrites. So it is better bacon to use for this recipe. I'm going to be using a little fresh garlic in the breadcrumbs that we're going to be making and pulling together in a minute, and then some fresh basil as well. Of course, you're always going to want a little tiny bit of Italian bread to dip into the olive oil, butter, clam, bacony juice once we're done with broiling. So let's get started. The first step is steaming the clams so that they open just for a minute or two. And then once that's happened, then we're going to go ahead, clean the clams, and stuff them, top them with breadcrumbs, olive oil, and some garlic powder, basil, and bacon. You want this little clamshell to open. You can go ahead and open it now with a clam knife, but you have to be very, very careful not to cut yourself, not to hurt yourself. So I went ahead and rinsed these clams, and the best way to store them overnight is you just put some wet cloths over them. Don't store them in water. So now what I'm going to do is prepare the breadcrumbs. I have about 1 cup of breadcrumbs here. I'm just going to use half of them right now. As the clams are opening, some are opened and will be cleaned. I'm going to take just about 1, 2, 3 turns of olive, about 1 pat of, you know, I love the Kerrygold butter, garlic powder. Just cut both sides of the garlic, and then I cut it lengthwise, and then I'll be adding a little bit of Parmesan at the end to that because it'll melt up and I don't want it to do that yet. So basically we have in here breadcrumbs, olive oil, a little bit of butter, fresh garlic, of course some salt and pepper, a little salt and pepper. These breadcrumbs, these Italian seasoned breadcrumbs, are pretty well seasoned, but I always like a little extra zing. So I add a little extra garlic, extra fresh cracked pepper, and then we're going to go ahead and put that on the stovetop just to make it kind of into a bit of a paste so that we can push it onto the tops of the clams. Who doesn't love bacon? I know bacon's like the new really popular thing, so anytime there's bacon on top of anything, it's just a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and rinse all of the clams in cool water. Be sure that all the sand is out of it. You can see there is some sand in here. So we're going to be basically going and cleaning the clams now. This basil into good sized pieces. Our breadcrumbs are looking pretty perfect. This is the prep part. This is where Daddy starts to get hungry now. because he's starting to smell the end of the road. You definitely want a good amount of breadcrumbs on there, but because we still have to put the basil in the bacon. So that's just about right. I would say just think about how many clams per person. So 2 dozen should serve, I don't know, I think each person's going to want at least 3 or 4 of them. Okay, so now we're going to take the basil, put a little bit of fresh basil. You're welcome to use a little fork if it kind of helps to get them on there. Maybe I want to put these out here as I'm topping them. And remember, the bacon is in the refrigerator. Because I cut the bacon pieces into 1-inch. I cut the bacon into 1-inch pieces, and after cutting it and handling it, it was a little soft, and I didn't want it to sit around. As you can see, okay, our oven's ready. It's at 350 degrees on convection. You can see I'm putting a lot more than one little sprig of basil on here. So I might need to cut a little more. Actually, no, I think if I just go ahead and be sure all of the basil is on top of each. Here's the beauty of the dish. This is a piece of bacon. This is actually, you know, I like this bacon is looking a little on the, as I look at the little neck, I don't want that big a piece. So this is like perfect. So there's basil, and there's a nice piece of bacon with some fat and some pork meat on there. This will go into our baking dish, ready to go into the oven. And then you'll basically do that. Remember, we already cut our bacon. Watching my father, he is so happy when he is making this. He really is just so cute. This is something his father, bless his soul, my papa, would eat all kinds of interesting dishes. You know, he grew up in Italy, my grandfather, in a precious little town near the water. So he loved all kinds of different food and seafood dishes. So once the dish is prepared, you can go ahead and pour about 1/3 a cup of water into the base of the dish and sprinkle with Parmesan cheese. Bake in a 350-degree oven for about 20 to 24 minutes, and then at the very end, you'll want to broil the tops for about 30 to 40 seconds. Serve immediately or store in an airtight container. Be sure to stay tuned for the following recipe with the ingredients and the instructions to follow on this video, and to follow me, Laura Rose, at Purely Good Cooking on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks so much for being with me today from the heart of my home, the kitchen. With blessings. Have a wonderful, beautiful day.